Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Yesterday, my friend went to a store, and as he approached the entrance, he noticed a driver looking for a parking space. He flagged the driver down and pointed out a handicapped parking space that was open and available. And the driver looked puzzled and rolled down her window and said, "I'm not handicapped." Well, as you can imagine, my friend's face was very red. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I saw your I'm Ready for Hillary bumper sticker and just assumed that you suffer from a mental disorder." She screamed many nasty words at my friend and drove away. Some people just don't appreciate it when you're trying to help them out. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, come on, giggle a little bit, have a sense of humor. Oh, there you go. My favorite lady to sing that song. Kate Smith and God Bless America. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them at 734-6969. And, of course, Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, with the Antique Tractor Show coming up this weekend, Friday and Saturday. Everything for the farm, home, and ranch at Valley-Wide Home and Ranch. Well, let's say good morning to our Pledge of Allegiance person.
Good morning.
That was really inspirational, man. I'll tell you what, he just crawled out from underneath a stone and said, "Good morning."
Good morning, Zeb.
That's much better. Thank you. Go ahead with our pledge, please.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One of these days, I'm going to catch you in an excited mode, and it's going to just absolutely tip the scales.
At lunch bunch.
Yeah, I hope. All right, thank you very much. Hey, it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. All your carpet, flooring, kitchen construction, home decor, whatever you need to make your house a home. These are really nice people. Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Look for the blue door. Call them 678-6945. Right now, here's the weather.
What does the number 87 have to do with Zeb Bell and the weather for today? Good morning, folks. Well, the number 87 is your high for today. And the other reason the number 87 is important to Zeb Bell today is because you are 87 days away from listening to Zeb talk about the Green Bay Packers when NFL starts. Other than that, because it's one of those situations where I could sit here and waste your time to tell you how sunny and nice it's going to be and how hot it's going to be. And I'm not going to waste your time. It's going to be sunny and hot all the way to Monday. Upper 80s, low 90s for the daytime highs. That's all you need to know. So just remember, high today, 87 days away from listening to Zeb talk about the Green Bay Packers. enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you can.
I love it. I love it. I was talking about the Packers last night with some friends. Thank you, Michael. Brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. And the number to call, 678-6945. Hey, on Thursdays, don't forget, sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. You better believe it, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. And the number to call the office for consignments or information about the sale on Thursday is 678-9411. You get a hold of Merv, May, Cade, Rogge, or Lance Udy, all of them helping you get your cattle sold through the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, with sale on Thursday, 10 a.m. starting time, unless otherwise noted, at Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Calls are welcome, 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. I want to just get this public service announcement in. Tomorrow night, fourth in a summer team roping series at the Jerome County Fairgrounds. My buddy Dave Zanino, he's out moving cows right now this morning. Sign up at 6:30, rope at 7, 3 for 25 draw pot, enter up to 6 times. For more information, give him a call at 431-1263. Hey, by the way, SafeLink Internet, Idaho's fastest wireless internet, number one choice for wireless internet. All you have to do is write this number down, 677-8000, 677-8000. First month free, plus free installation, no contracts, no credit checks, unlimited data. It is absolutely the best, and they're so easy to work with. You call the number, get on the program with SafeLink Internet today, 677-8000. Very good people. Oh, and by the way, we're in the warmer days of summer. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget, if you need clothes cleaned and pressed and looking brand spanking new, there is only one place to go that can do that. In my opinion, the very, very best, Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Kevin and Cindy and the rest of the crew. Dry cleaning prolongs the life of your garments, and I'll guarantee you they do the best job of anybody at Daryl's Cleaners. 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Caller, good morning. Thank you for your call.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
A little quiz for you here.
All right.
When were the words "under God" added to the Pledge of Allegiance?
I am going to, oh boy, now you're going to make me embarrassed on this, but I'm going to say I thought it was like 1956.
A little earlier, a couple of years.
How much did I miss it by?
It was added Flag Day of 1954.
Ooh, close, but no home run.
Pretty darn close. I was learning about that the other day, and I asked my wife. She says, "Well, it's always been there, hasn't it?" And
No.
I thought, no. I remember it being added. So I looked it up and thought I would just throw that out to you.
You know, now, I'm certainly glad you said that, because I apologize for my inability to come up with the right answer, but I honestly did think it was 1956, so thank you for correcting me.
Yeah, it was 54, according to my internet source.
All right.
As Jerry Shaw says, according to the internet. But anyhow, that was my comment for this morning.
Hey, I appreciate your call. God bless you, man. Thanks so much. We've got a lot of things cooking here this morning and some great guests. And we're going to have Dr. Gerard Lamero talking about the absolutely, I still think it's a very, very bad deal. And that's the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement. Boy, some of you out in the audience, why, you don't agree with me at all. Well, that's fine. But I'm certainly glad that it went down to defeat once, twice, now possibly coming up for another vote. I don't want to see it passed. I don't like it. I think it's insidious. And I think it gives way too much power to the president for an up or down vote or changes. And we're going to talk about that with him later on this morning. I want to talk to the Democrats in just a moment, so stay tuned for that, about Hillary Clinton. How could you ever want her as your possible nominee for president? Hillary Clinton, the wicked witch of the East. And I will not apologize. Stand by. I'll be right with you. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They throw the doors open at 7:30 in the morning and stay open till 5 o'clock Monday through Friday. And, yesterday was a good example of why you should have stopped in the day before and got, of course, all your air filters. Well, you couldn't on Sunday, but you could have last week. And, of course, they've got all your air filters for having your air conditioner run efficiently and keep you cool. Stop in. They've got everything for you, all your heating and electric needs at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Want to mention to you about Valley White Home and Ranch, too, real quick, and then we'll start taking some of your calls. At Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, mentioned just a little bit ago. Hold on, caller. I'll be right there. They've got all your fly spray and bug spray. Golly, did I see a big horsefly on the back door this morning. And I wished I'd had some of that spray to just knock him down. Well, I'll tell you, they've got all your fly spray. And don't forget, too, the big antique tractor show coming up this weekend, Friday and Saturday, right there at Valley White Home and Ranch. And from 11 to 2, they're going to have burgers for $1. Yeah, proceeds benefiting the local 4-H chapters. And, of course, a great fishing department, too, at Valley Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I can barely hear you, but just food for thought on Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
What is the possibility she ain't but a ploy?
When you say ploy, explain that to me a little bit. What do you mean?
This smoke screen.
Yeah.
The way things is going, there could be something real heavy come down from the king.
I can't argue with you, and as a matter of fact, I have a tendency to agree with you. I think this woman is so vile, and I think this woman is so pathetically inclined to getting her way and doing things her way. And I said earlier, I called her the Wicked Witch of the East, and I'm going to stand behind that. I'll give you an example. Listen carefully. A friend of mine by the name of David Martosko, he is a news reporter, and yesterday he was banned from covering Hillary's news conferences because the Hillary people, did not like the way he wrote the stories, and it was not according to the rules and dictates of her staff. And so they threw him out and won't let him cover any more of her news conferences. That is a very despicable government-controlled news attitude.
Well, I refer to Ms. Clinton as Hillary for a reason. Her and Obama are the devious liars.
I'm not going to argue that.
It just is scary. I think she's a smokescreen.
You might very well be right, and very perceptive. Thank you. I appreciate your call. God bless you, my friend. Thank you. No, I don't like her, and I don't want anything to do with her. Now, don't you dare, anybody out in the audience, some of the Democrats, led by some that are very vague in leadership qualities, probably are going to come after me and say something really stupid and sexist that I don't like her because she's a woman. No, I don't like Hillary because she's Hillary. I mean, how much more honest can you be? I don't like Hillary because she's Hillary. I think she's very, very dishonest. I think she is very introverted. I think she is only for what she wants to get done that will help her, Bill, and the cohorts. And I think this very dense woman has had the gall to say that government, this is really serious, what she said the other day. She said the government should regulate how much CEOs and company leaders should make for their income. And how hypocritical can you possibly be when her and Wild Bill have thrown millions after millions after millions into their bank accounts from some kind of shady business dealings, etc., and also with the Clinton Foundation. And then she has the gall to turn around and say that business leaders and CEOs CEOs are making too much money and there should be a regulation, that's first of all against the Constitution, which should be a little clue right there that woman couldn't care less about the Constitution. And if she is the brightest that the Democrats can put forth, the entire Democratic Party is not very smart. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Well, I'm waiting for your call. Gee, I wonder if a Democrat will call. Berry Equipment and Rental. They have all the equipment to get the job done and the job done right. They have 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. And don't forget, they've got 0% financing until June 30th on those Walker mowers and no payment for up to 120 days. Woo! Those are good lawnmowers, let me tell you. Berry Equipment and Rental, Eli, Nick, and the whole crew, everybody working for you. Addison Avenue West, Twin Falls, South Lincoln, Jerome, and, of course, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh my, you know what Thursday this week is? It's Lunch Bunch over at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. And we also want to thank Smith's Food King, Walmart, and of course, Hanson Mortuary. We are going to have a lot of door prizes. As a matter of fact, if you don't win a prize over at Lunch Bunch this Thursday, it ain't ever going to happen because we've got a whole bunch to give away, so everybody try to be there. Let's fill the place up at Denny's Restaurant. Great food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Denny's. Thomas and Terry, the whole crew, they are exceptional. And they also have a new location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin. Denny's Restaurant, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Thank you very much. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We have had David Martosko on this program a couple of times talking about various news stories, and I was really shocked when I heard that he had been told, not asked, he had been told by the Clinton advisory team, you're out of here. And he belongs to a news pool agency that is supposed to cover the various stories and happenings with the Hillary campaign, and they ran him out the door. They said, you're out of here. You're not following the dictates of what we give you. You're out of here. Holy cow. He's very thorough and very honest, and Hillary's henchmen don't like that. And now just think about this for a minute. Is our news media in this country going to be segregated and basically put out to pasture if they, the Hillary people, don't like them? And what kind of a news agency or news bureau in a free society that is controlled possibly, and I hope not, by the next president, that is a Gestapo arm of injustice, and it's dangerous. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Could we go back to Hillary for just a moment or two?
I still am. Go ahead.
Okay. Where would this country be if it weren't for people like Lee Iacocca, who saved the Chrysler Corporation from going bankrupt and costing thousands of jobs when he agreed to do that for $1 a year?
Yeah.
Because he believed in America.
Yeah.
Now, how much is a CEO worth? How many times has this happened where a company is really, really struggling and new leadership comes in and saves it? Should they not be rewarded more than just an ordinary salary?
Yeah, and I'll say this, Keith, and maybe you won't agree with this aspect of it, but it's none of your business and it's none of my business how much those people are paid. I don't want to know. I don't want people to know how much I make because, quite frankly, it's none of your business. And the same with CEOs. If they're doing the job and they are leading a company and the company is in the black and they're doing a great service for their employees and everything, I don't think it's any of your business or my business, and it certainly should not be regulated by some absolute incompetent behind the desk at the White House.
Yeah, and you got to admit that Hillary will not work that hard if she is president. She's going to do whatever she's always done, and the country will be on cruise control just like it is now.
Yeah, wait a minute, though. I'm not so sure, and I'm going to take issue with you on this a little bit. I'm not sure it's going to be on cruise control because sooner or later you got to start to land the plane or you got to raise it above the mountains. And right now we are going down the drain. We don't have any leadership. We're not seeing anybody elevate leadership to the point where this country can start to do better economically, with an energy program that'll let people try to flourish in their business. We're not seeing anything as far as national security. We're not on cruise control. We're on crash control right now.
And I believe you're absolutely right. But in the Republican Party, it seems like we're eating our young.
I agree.
You know, they're not coming out like they should.
I agree.
I don't know what to do about it. I really don't.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I am very, very concerned because if this woman, Hillary Clinton, becomes president, it's not only going to be more of the same with the policies of Barack Obama, but much worse. And I am very concerned. And I criticize the Democrats for not having any common sense or any brains, for that matter, for thinking that she can run the country and put it on track for a more successful America. She is a loser. I don't want anything to do with her.
Let me make one last comment. That every time I listen to you on the radio, you don't report anything but the facts. And I have never heard you say bad things about somebody that was not true. On the other hand, Hillary Clinton is a two-faced. Well, you put the rest of the words together. I don't know what they are.
I would be more than happy to. I don't trust her. I think that there are so many injustices that have occurred with her and Bill and their Clinton henchmen. I just grit my teeth, and I have to be very careful that the words that come out of my mouth are not going to be of liability that I could get sued. I don't like this woman at all. Keith, God bless you, man. I got to run. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
All right. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I want to say thank you to BASF, and they help America and Idaho grow. Yesterday, we had our dear friend Ron Ellis on the program, and talking, of course, about Preaxor for potato growers and other great products, too. Like white mold will become an issue with potatoes, and BASF can help control that with the product called Endura. And the sugar beets are off to a great start, and the challenge is to control powdery mildew, and they've got that also with an application of Preaxor. So please contact BASF and our friend Ron Ellis and your field men about BASF and all their great products to help your crops grow better in Idaho. BASF, Ron Ellis, 431-6776. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zach.
Yes, Tony.
You know, there's one other major problem that needs to be addressed, and I don't think anybody that's really running is equipped to take care of it. It seems like every business in this country has become a Chinese outlet for goods. Mm-hmm. And doing business this way with these people, they're allowing them to become a superpower over in that part of the world. The administration doesn't seem to be concerned about doing anything about it, so I think maybe, possibly, the consumers in this country could cut back on what they're buying with Chinese labels on it.
If anything that says China on it, I'm not going to buy. I mean, I am really a supporter, and I don't care who is offended by this. I'm going to state my opinion. I am a huge advocate of country of origin labeling. I want to buy American. I don't want to support China. I don't want to support foreign countries. I want to support America. And if somebody doesn't like that, I don't care.
Well, the other thing is it's about food, food of origin,
yes,
especially meat and stuff. I think that went out the window now. Now we're not going to be able to know who we're getting our meat from.
Yeah, and there again, that country of origin labeling, I'm very much an advocate of it. I'm not going to change my opinion. I've studied it enough to know that that's my feeling and my conviction. I'm not going to change. Tony, I got to get a hard break in. God bless you, man.
Okay,
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you. I'll take some more calls in just a minute, but right now I've got to get on with the Capital Press Ag Minute, brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology. This lady has helped me a lot. Had a hearing problem. I went in for a hearing screening, and let me tell you something. She knows all about hearing, or the lack of, and how to enhance your hearing so you don't miss a lot of the good things in life. Please get a hold of her today at 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. You call for a hearing screening today. Right now, quickly, here's the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
Hop fields in Washington, Oregon, and Idaho will increase 16% this year to 43,987 acres, according to USDA's National Agriculture Stats Service. Hop acreage has been growing for a number of years, driven by demand from growth in small craft breweries. The NASS forecast released June 10th shows Washington had the highest growth last year, which was followed by Oregon and Idaho. Those are acres strung per harvest, and if the hop acreage is realized, it will be the third highest total harvested acreage on record. Washington accounts for 73% of the national crop. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, I am Raul Peña.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Oh, thank you very much. And right now, brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology. And believe me, it's important, it's imperative. Please do it. Call for a hearing screening today, 312-0957. Hey, it's June Dairy Month, and I just absolutely want to say thank you to all of our June Dairy Month sponsors, and especially the United Dairymen of Idaho. And I'm going to be giving away a prize here in just a minute, so stay tuned. Smith's Food and Drug, don't forget 937 East Main in Burley. They've got everything for you to enjoy June Dairy Month, all the yogurt, all the ice cream bars, all the ice cream, all the milk, all the cheese, everything at Smith's Food and Drug, 937 East Main in Burley. And also don't forget our friends with AMI, and they're located at 710 Overland in Burley. And you need fasteners, you need bolts and nuts and hardware. AMI has it all, and they wish everybody a very happy, with a smile on your face, June Dairy Month. Thank you very much. And right now, I am going to give away a pail of ice cream from Smith's Food and Drug at 937 East Main in Burley. The first person to call, 436-2244. What is the first and the last name of the scientist that developed the process of pasteurization of milk? What is the first and last name of the scientist that developed the process of pasteurization of milk? Give me his name quickly at 436-2244. Caller, what is your name and what's the answer?
Well, my name's Dory, and is the answer Louis Pasteur?
Dory, what is your last name?
Clegg.
Boy, the Cleggs are on that phone like a vulture to a dead varmint. I'll tell you what, you're good. Louis Pasteur, and you are the winner. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. All right, you ready for this?
Okay.
All right, Dory, hang in there. What year did he do that?
Oh, that's so not fair.
Oh, I'll give you the doggone ice cream, but you got to help me a little bit. What year do you think he did it?
1897?
You know, you're in the right century, but a little bit too advanced. It was 1856.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, enjoy your ice cream, Dory, and I'll make sure that your name is given. All you have to do is go in the front door, identify yourself to the people at the front desk, and you'll get your ice cream, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Smith's Food and Drug, thank you very much. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And speaking of like hovering like a vulture, here is Wheels with this good word about the Silver State Stampede.
Nevada's oldest rodeo, the Silver State Stampede, thunders into Elko July 9th, 10th, and 11th for family entertainment at its best. This PRCA-sanctioned rodeo brings you the thrill of rodeo riders going head-to-head in one of the world's toughest sports, rodeo. The action kicks off on Thursday with the annual kickoff party, including a tri-tip dinner, mutton busting, the Old West bronc riding, and dancing to the music of the Jeff Palmer Band. Things heat up on Friday and Saturday with PRCA rodeo action, the Ring of Fear, mutton busing, and all the fun, music, and dancing you can handle. And don't forget on Saturday, it's tough enough to wear pink. Pick up your tickets today at Roy's, the J.M. Capriola Company, the Boot Barn, IFA, or the Elko Chamber Office. Nevada's oldest rodeo, the Silver State Stampede, thundering into Elko July 9th, 10th, and 11th. Family entertainment at its very best.
All right, thank you. We're going to be on down there to Elko. It's always a lot of fun at the Silver State Stampede. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let me ask you this question this morning. Do you have a neighbor? Do you have a friend? Do you have a relative? Do you have somebody you go to church with that thinks that Hillary would be a good president? Honestly, you need to sit down and you need to have a heart-to-heart with these people, because every vote matters in this country. Every concept or thought matters, and I just really, anytime I hear somebody even giving an inkling as to why they would want that very devious woman as president, I want to sit down, I want to talk to them, and I want to find out how and why they could ever support someone like her. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Remember, I've said many times on the air that when I was a freshman in high school, I know that was eons ago, that my high school used to be known as the Cardinals. Yeah. Oh, boy, there's a fighting bird, if I ever heard of one. And then my sophomore year, we, the student body and the faculty and everybody got together and wanted to have a name change to support and take pride in the local Indian tribe called the Blackhawks. And Chief Blackhawk from the 1830s and 40s, the Blackhawk Indian Wars along the Rock River from Illinois all the way up into Wisconsin. Well, the National Hockey League world champions, as of last night, the Chicago Blackhawks, there have been pushes, there have been rumors, and there have been slights by a lot of people that want to see any and all Indian names, tribe names, etc., taken off jerseys and never to be mentioned again. And I got to thinking last night, after the Chicago Blackhawks won another Stanley Cup championship, who is going to be dumb enough, really, and I'll say it that way, who is going to be dumb enough to try to walk up to Chicago Blackhawk fans right now and say, change your name? They may end up swallowing a hockey puck. Good morning, you're on the air.
I know you're a busy man, but I have a quick job for you to do at your news break.
All right.
You need to go on and look on the internet about the Ketchum newspaper and look in their editorials, and their editor wrote a deal about how gun owners and people packing open packing weapons should be shamed just like the cigarette smokers were.
Oh, really?
In other words, if you're packing a gun, you're not allowed in the stores and stuff.
Uh-huh. And evidently, sir, you must be in the cattle business, because I sure hear them in the background.
Oh, we're trimming a few cows' feet today.
Hey, let me ask you, was that in the Wood River Journal?
The only way I found it is I don't think it's called the Wood River Journal anymore. It's something about the Mountain Express.
Okay, that helps me a lot. The
only way I could find it is I went on Google and I just typed in Ketchum, Idaho newspaper.
Okay.
But then you have to go look in his editorials, and the editorials, and it's about 3 stories down. It's one of the dumbest things that you'll read.
All right, my lovely bride is just walking into the office, and she is the computer guru here at our house, and she's going to look it up, and I certainly appreciate the tip, and go back to trimming those cows, okay?
Okay, you have a good one.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Bye.
By the way, it falls right into what that gentleman just said. Do you know, I'm going to put another little question out here. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to give away, Dan, we're going to give away a Blizzard to Dairy Queen in Burley and Jerome. I'm going to give away a Blizzard certificate from Zeb at the Ranch and Dairy Queen. Do you know what president of the United States in the last 100 years carried a gun on him all the time? Who carried a pistol on him in the last 100 years? I'm not going to talk prior to 1900. I'm talking in the 1900s. Name a president that carried a pistol with him all the time. A .38 caliber pistol, and the first person that can give me the right answer, I will give you a Blizzard certificate to Dairy Queen, 436-2244. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, President Reagan.
Whoa! Who is this?
Vance Kunzler.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to write this on here. I'm not real good. Vance, is that right?
Yeah, Spencer Kunzler. Kunzler.
Well, you are the winner, and I got to ask you something. How did you know that?
I just happened to read it on an email this morning, just accidentally.
You got to be kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding.
That is really funny because I've had this question I was going to ask for the last couple of days, and right after President Reagan was shot and he healed up, he never went anywhere without that .38 in his briefcase or on his person, tucked down in his boot or whatever. He always carried a .38 pistol. And I'll tell you something, Vance, I'm pretty impressed that you had that answer this morning.
Yeah.
Now stay on the line, Vance, and Wheels will get your address and we'll mail that to you, okay?
Okay.
All right, sir. God bless. Thank you so much. It was Ronald Reagan, and he carried a .38 pistol with him almost all the time after he had been shot, healed up, and he didn't go anywhere without it. And I don't blame him. He said, they're not going to take me down without a fight. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I've got to get the weather in here, and then we'll take some more calls. And the weather this hour, holy buckets, am I running late. The weather this hour is brought to you by our friends at Mad River Laser. Here it is, Father's Day weekend coming up, and all the June weddings, and you'll probably need parade and business promotional items, and, of course, coffee mugs that say World's Greatest Dad, and for Dad, World's Greatest Cook, and of course all the buck knives that have the engraving on them. Oh my! All right there at Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. You stop in and see Nicole today. Here now is the weather.
Hello everyone, Michael Rogers is Zeb at the Ranch. Nice weather all week. There you go. There's really not too much to talk about. Your weather theme for this week, it's going to be hot. 87 for the high today. You'll hit 91 tomorrow, and you'll pretty much stay in the upper 80s, low 90s all the way through Monday of next week. So, pretty simple forecast. It's still officially spring. We're getting summer, but as usual with the Magic Valley, and after living in the area for over 7 years, it's amazing how you start your seasons earlier than what they're supposed to. Where am I going with this? For the whole time that I lived there. It's been consistent for 7 years that your summer always started 2 weeks early before the actual date, which is June 21st. It's amazing. But you got a nice day, so do your chores so you can go play golf and go up the city of rocks and go spend some time and go for a walk for a nice evening and beautiful sunset, all that good stuff. For the weather, it is the only weather you've got.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Brought to you by some folks that I'm pretty high on. Everything they do is first class at Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-2293. Hey, by the way, you know what's coming up. It's the Maverick presenting the 40th annual Idaho Regatta, June 26, 27, and 28, right there at the Burley Golf Course Marina. Holy buckets, is this going to be ripping good fun. I mean, boat races extraordinaire. They're going to have all kinds of fun for you. On Thursday the 25th, they're going to have what they call their show and shine and a fish fry. That's going to be over in the city of Rupert. Friday, of course, the big boat parade. And then, of course, they also start testing all the boats, and they have the heat races at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Saturday and Sunday, I mean, start your engines, brothers. It's going to be a lot of fun at the Idaho Regatta right there at the Burley Golf Course Marina, June 26, 27, and 28. Don't you miss it. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear, and I found this story to be rather intriguing, that a teacher in California, and I got to get this all taken care of here and find out, a public school teacher by the name of Dana Deucebiber, high school English teacher in Sacramento, California, said she doesn't want to teach Shakespeare anymore. And even though it's a part of the Common Core English Language Arts Standards, she said that she doesn't want to be a part of it because it shows too much and talks too much about white privilege. What? I read this, and I could not believe that this woman could be so against white people. She said that in her classroom are a lot of minorities, and she feels sorry for them having to learn about white authors. And she went on to call Shakespeare British. Well, she's not very well informed, and I did a little checking on this because he was English. Now, a lot of you might say, well, come on, Zeb, you're nitpicking. Well, no, not really, because a teacher should know this. Shakespeare was English, and he wrote most all of his works in the late 1500s, and Britain, per se, was not formed until 1707. Now, I know that a lot of you are saying, oh, come on, that's just a minor point. Well, it's a real point, and this woman just doesn't want to teach Shakespeare. I mean, to be or not to be, that is the question. But to say that it's too many white authors, and especially Shakespeare, she won't teach it because she thinks it's not fair to the minority students in her class. What is going on? What is this hatred and this dislike and this disdain against being white? Look at this woman, this absolutely idiotic woman that claims she was black and was heading up a chapter for the NAACP, and she was an embarrassment to her mother and father. She didn't have any black blood in her veins whatsoever. None, nada, no. And why? Why are people, certain people, that want to be, I guess, on the in with all the liberal thinking today, why are they condemning being white? I'm proud of my race. I'm Caucasian. Basically, if you don't like that, that really is your problem. I can accept any and all colors, any and all races, any and all ethnicities. You treat me nice, I treat you nice. Bingo. But to be ashamed of being white today? Too much white privilege? Too much of this, Too many whites in broadcasting? Too many whites in sports? Too many this? Too many whites in politics? What is this? Call me. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We have to be ashamed of our background? No. We have to withdraw from being a part of something because of our Caucasian skin? No. Never. Oh, my goodness. These people are absolutely nuts. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. These are really good people at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, right behind Dr. Crane's office. And they, honestly, here's the tagline that's the truth. With all the exercises and all the sports medicine and the hydrotherapy pool with the treadmill in the bottom of it and everything, let me tell you something. They help you get back to being you. Yes, they do. Nick Greenwell, physical therapist, and all of his helpers there are trained with the greatest of knowledge to help you get back to being you. Make an appointment today, 678-1191 at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Are you ashamed of being white? Are you, oh my goodness, Martha, we better not go to the grocery store. Why, my goodness, somebody might make fun of us because we're Caucasians. Somebody might be bitter at us because they might think we have more than they have because we're Caucasians. What? I mean, I have never in my life heard or thought that there would be a race card played against white people. Why? Why? When we, the whites, I think, have tried to do more to help others than any other ethnicity or race. Oh, which brings up another little point that I thought I would throw at you this morning. About a month ago on this program, I used the terminology Negroid. Some dim bulb in the audience was upset about that and said, "Oh, how can you possibly use the N-word?" Well, it's real easy, because Negroid or Negro is the terminology, the correct terminology for describing black people as a race. It is Negro or Negroid, as the color implies. And I'm a little sick and tired of having to hedge words. Well, the other night on television, I was listening to this guy, and he referred to himself as a Negro, which he is. And honestly, I am going to start throwing that word back into conversation much more on this program, because it is an authentic, valued word. And I find it slang, and I find it almost distasteful to refer to somebody as black. You know, I don't like that. I mean, yellow, from over in the Asian countries, oh, you're yellow, or you're black, or you're white. You know, why do we have to refer to anybody by a color? To me, that is, it's very insensitive. Very insensitive. I don't know. Mongoloid, Caucasian, and Negroid are the three honest factors in words that portray mankind. That's the way it'll stay on this program. I'm done preaching. I've got to get a word in here, and I'll take some more calls. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Are you ready for summer travel? Are you ready to go to Colorado? Are you ready to go down to New Mexico? Are you ready to go over to Aunt Martha's and Uncle Fred's? Well, stop into all your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and check out the free pre-trip safety checks. Another service Another service to make sure that you're taken care of and drive safely. Check out all the great buys on tires, too. You know what? They've got that Wildcat AT2 on sale. Your light truck and SUV tires, all-season traction, and a very smooth, quiet ride. And the best in brake service, too. I swear by these folks. They are good, and they know brakes. You better believe it. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Real quick, I noticed that the CSI had a meeting, and they talked about the refugee center, headed up by now Deborah Silver. Oh, there is a shining star. Deborah Silver is going to be the person that is going to organize the meetings and talk about these various things that are happening with the CSI Refugee Center. And quite frankly, I don't think Deborah could organize a one-horse parade. But I just want to say that of the 18 speakers they had at a meeting talking about the Refugee Center, 6 out of 18 were supportive and the rest were not. And there are a lot of questions that need to be answered by the college, by the refugee center, and why the government is doing what they're doing at various locations around the United States. And still it keeps coming up, and the College of Southern Idaho officials say, quote, the federal government does extensive background checks on refugees, including those who will be arriving starting in October in this area. That is not true. And I have my information from fairly reliable sources, the FBI and Homeland Security. And why CSI continues to perpetrate that, it's unbelievable to me, and I'm not going to let that issue go down the drain. We're going to have many more segments on it next week. Let's see. Oh, my goodness, we've got to take a break already. How time flies when we're having fun. We'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Oh, congratulations to that $1 million winner. Man alive, wouldn't that be great to scratch off the numbers and go, whoopee, I'm headed for a cruise. There you go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you and doing a great job, by the way. And along with some of our great advertisers like Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. And don't forget that great big antique tractor show coming up this weekend on Friday and Saturday. And our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Real fast, I want to remind you about the dumpsters in various sizes. I've got to clean out my barn. I got to clean out my tack room. I got to clean out my garage. Look out, I need some dumpsters. I bit my tongue, pardon me. And they come in various sizes. They'll deliver them. You fill them up, and then they'll come and get them. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Give them a call today, 734-6969. Locally owned and operated, Western Waste Services, the best. Oh my, that terminology, the best, and that leads us also to another one of our great advertisers, and that's Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, write this down, 436-5636, 436-5636. Joel Heward, his family, the staff, always with flexible hours to serve you. When there's the passing of a loved one, they will help, always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. So please, once again, call them at Hanson Mortuary, 436-5636. I really am looking forward to having this gentleman on my program this morning, and I've had him on in the past, and he's always a real straight shooter, and maybe he can help me understand this trade agreement. I've come out publicly on my program and said that I'm against the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement. I don't trust anybody, and then all of a sudden I found myself on the wrong side with Republicans, and almost siding with the Democrats and independents, so I guess I've become an indemnican, independent Democrat and Republican. Holy smokes, Dr. Gerard Lamero, please help me out. How bad is this trade agreement anyway?
Well, it's great to be back on your show, and I'd be happy to talk about it. I hope you can adjust the volume because I can barely hear you. Maybe your technician or engineer could do that.
All right, I'll ask Wheels. You got to turn it up a little bit so he can hear me, and if that's better, Doctor, let me know. Turn him up, Wheels, and so he can hear me a little bit more, please. Doctor, what about this trade agreement? Is this a good thing or a really bad thing if it goes through?
Well, my personal opinion is we should be against the idea of giving unlimited negotiations to the president because on so many areas he hasn't followed the Constitution and his practices are questionable. And why give the president unlimited negotiations where he can negotiate virtually anything and it's automatically passed? You know, we have something called the Constitution, which I really believe in. And in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, it says, the Congress shall have the power to negotiate trade or commerce, they use the word commerce, with foreign nations. So why should they delegate their constitutional Article 1, Section 8 authority to this president? I don't think it's a good idea at all.
Well, Gerard, you don't mind if I call you by your first name, do you, sir?
You call me anything you like, just don't call me a progressive socialist.
You'll never hear that on my program, believe me. Let me ask you this. I found myself at great odds with some of my Republican friends, and they were really condemning me, and I find this to be extremely odd that the Republicans were siding with the president, the Democrats were against the president. What in the world is going on? This is like a Chinese fire drill.
Well, you know, I'm an economist, and I like free trade. And an awful lot of people, when they hear trade authority, blah, 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 in the past, we've had some trade authorities that have worked well. People think, oh, free trade, that's great. I'm in favor of that. I'm in favor of free markets and free trade. And they don't go ahead and read the fine print. Well, it turns out the fine print on the Trans-Pacific Partnership is secret. It's buried in the basement somewhere of the Capitol, and you can't get in, you can't take notes out. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, this isn't a nuclear bomb secret. Free trade should be open, transparent, honest. It shouldn't be done in secret, and that tells you something's funny, and the kinds of things that have leaked out are worrisome. And so I think that your being against Trans-Pacific is a good idea because it looks to me like it's something that's going to affect our country, our sovereignty, our economy, all sorts of things. And it looks like it's all being done in secret. And, you know, they did that with Obamacare, that 2,700 pages or whatever Obamacare, and they said, remember Nancy Pelosi said, you're going to have to let us pass it so we'll know what's in it?
Yeah.
Same thing here. And in fact, one of the trade agreements, TISA, that's the Services Trade Agreement, that would also automatically get approved, and that has to be kept secret. Part of the terms are it has to be kept secret for 5 years. So what's in this stuff? They don't want to tell us, and that's a reason not to support it. Because any good law is open, honest, and transparent. And if you can't tell the American people what's in there, what are you hiding?
Yeah, and, you know, here with Obama, and you have been on the program before, and you do know that I don't like Obama or anything or his policies about him. And I don't want one man to go behind a closed door with any group of world leaders and make an agreement that he can do solely on his own without the power of Congress. Man, I just don't like that. We do not live in a dictatorship.
That's right. And one of the things that's in there, in the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, is what's called the LAA, all this alphabet soup, the Living Agreement Authority. The Living Agreement Authority says once this is passed, it's on its own. It can morph itself into something else. It can add other members. It can change the rules. It can influence what countries do. And the Sultan of Brunei would have one vote, and so would the President of the United States. So these people, once they get together, they've created an international government structure of 12 countries. They can do more or less whatever they please, and our Congress can't use its two-thirds majority treaty power to basically vote it down.
Doctor, I have been very critical of trade agreements in the past because maybe I sound a little selfish on this, so correct me if you will. But I am sick and tired of trade agreements that give so much to the other guy and take away from us, the United States. And I see this as a gimme and nothing coming back to us. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. I do not see this as something that will maintain our sovereignty. I don't think it's in our best interest. I don't think it'll help the economy. I think we're going to lose jobs. And it's kind of strange that in this case the Republicans would be supporting it. But as I said, they seem to think anything with the word free trade on it. And by the way, I don't really consider this free trade. But even if it were trade, and that doesn't mean it's good trade. It has to be on terms that are open and honest, and all of us know what those terms are. And if we disagree with one or two of them, we should be allowed to vote those down. And in this case, the Senate gives up its right to have amendments to these agreements and to vote up and down on certain parts of it. Maybe there's half of it's good. But why can't they vote down the other half? Why are they giving the president unlimited authority? It's ridiculous.
Well, and I'm really pro-agriculture in this country, and I live in what is one of the biggest and largest agricultural producing areas of the United States, the Magic Valley of southern Idaho, second only to the San Joaquin Valley down in California. And I'm a little bit more than concerned as to what it's going to do to our agricultural program, our exports, our farmers, our ranchers. I had a woman economist on my program a couple of weeks ago, and I'm trying to remember her name, but I did not like her, nor did I respect her when she said something really asinine, like she didn't care where our food came from as long as it was at a cheaper rate brought into this country. And to me, that is totally asinine, because we, the American farmer and rancher, raise the safest produce, the safest meat, the safest everything in our stores, and to bring it in from foreign countries when it might not adequately have safety regulations or the aspects of safety that we have here. I'm scared about that, Doctor.
I'm on board with you. You and I think a lot alike because we've been talking several times on the radio, and we always seem to agree, and I agree with you on that one, too. I want my food safe. I want it regulated by our government with our standards. I have done work with the USDA, and they're good people, and they have, our interests at heart. And I want to see them rather than some secret international body get together. I mean, you're talking about a group in Trans-Pacific Partnership, about 12 countries getting together, setting all sorts of rules and regulations, and why should we be subject to some other country like Brunei or Singapore or Vietnam? They're all in that Trans-Pacific Partnership. The answer is so simple to me. Most of the times common sense makes all the sense in the world. Let's say that the president goes out and wants this wonderful trade Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Why don't you put it out in the open, let the press read it, let the senators read it, let everybody read it, let the American people read it, and let them throw darts at it. Let them criticize this paragraph and that paragraph. And when it's all done, maybe there's an agreement that is good for this country. If it is, then they can pass it with a 2/3 majority, just like the Constitution says. Why not follow the Constitution?
Well,
why just pass something in secret and not let anybody know what's been there for 5 years?
Well, let me ask you this then. Wouldn't it be wise for you right now and me in this interview to advise every single person to call the senators, the congressmen from the state of Idaho, if somebody's listening from out of state? I don't care if it's Utah, Nevada, California, Oregon, Washington, Montana. I don't care where, if they're listening right now. Call your senators and congressmen and demand what their stand is on this free trade agreement and why. Why would they support it when it's so clandestine?
Right. And by the way, just so the listeners know how all this is kind of going on, what they're really debating in Congress is TPA, and that's the Trade Promotion Authority.
Right.
And this is not any one agreement.
Right.
This is basically a carte blanche, a blank check to the president to say, you have authority to negotiate all of our trade deals. And then, in the future, which would probably be very quickly, he'd come back with there's 3 that he's apparently negotiated already, but he didn't have the authority to pass them. And they would get passed immediately if this TPA gets passed. So really what the issue is, will we give the president this unlimited negotiation power called Trade Promotion Authority, or TPA? If we give that to him, if the House and the Senate vote for that, then what happens is Trans-Pacific Partnership will automatically get approved, Trade and Services Agreement, which really worries me, will get that. Well, actually, they all do. And then Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, PTIP, which is an agreement with the U.S. and the European Union, will automatically be approved. So all these deals that are secret will suddenly get approved. And so that's what the whole issue is, whether or not they support TPA and giving the president unlimited negotiation.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask this question, and I'm going to show a little naivete here and also possibly some ignorance. But as I look through here and the various countries, whether it's Japan, whether it's Australia, whether it's Peru, Chile, Brunei, Iceland, Norway, it doesn't make any difference. Where does the United Nations come into play on this? I really don't want the UN to have their thumb on this and or us. Am I wrong in thinking that they're going to have more power over us?
Well, I would guess they would. Now, these agreements are not made through the UN, but remember the Living Agreement Authority that's built in to this Trans-Pacific Partnership, and for all we know, it's built into all of them, but we don't even know that because it hasn't been leaked. But because it's a Living Agreement Authority, they could turn everything over next week to the UN, and there'd be no way to get around it.
So basically, our Constitution, our valued Constitution, the best written Constitution of any country in the world ever, could be at risk and subjected to what these people from other countries deem they want us to do, and they could hold us hostage, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but they could also force us to require that we change our laws.
What would you say?
Not only our Constitution, but our laws.
Right. What should we be doing besides calling our senators and our congressmen, which sometimes is like a shot in the dark? A lot of their phones are always filled up or off the hook, or the operators are out to lunch. I mean, what would you say we need to do?
Well, the only thing that's holding up all these partnerships is TPA, Trade Promotion Authority, and as long as that's not voted for in the House, by the way, it was passed in the Senate, don't ask me why, because I don't know why they would have passed it, but in the House has to approve it, and they haven't approved it. Last week they tried to get close to it, but fortunately enough Democrats and enough Republicans were against it where it didn't go through, and I think they're going to try one more time this week. But the thing at issue is the Trade Promotion Authority, and if that passes, all these secret agreements will start happening, whatever Obama wants. And by the way, why would you give him negotiation? I mean, even if you're thinking the president should negotiate, this is a person who can't negotiate with Iran. Why do we want him to negotiate with anybody else?
Amen. Now, let me ask you, and this is maybe off point just a little bit, Doctor, but when you look at Hillary Clinton, who probably, unfortunately, will get the nod and the nomination from the Democrats, and then look over to the plethora of like 397 applicants for the job on the Republican side, who knows, who understands, and who has spoken out against this?
Well, that's a good question, and I don't have a list of who's who. The list is pretty long to start with. I mean, there's so many people running, but I think that's one question. And by the way, I have looked, and I have a link to every presidential candidate website, so I can look up the issues. And I found that a lot of them don't answer the question.
Oh, my.
And that is troubling in and of itself, because not all of them recognize it. I think a few people have mentioned it, but it hasn't become the issue that it needs to become. And I think maybe people are dodging it. Even Hillary Clinton, by the way, I think she's been on both sides. I mean, she talks it up one way and then talks against it another day, and I don't know where she stands.
Well, now,
and the Democrats are all over the map too.
Mm-hmm.
So people are pretty confused about that, and that's why when you do things in secret, it confuses people. They don't know which way. Is it more free trade, or is it more taking away America's sovereignty?
Absolutely.
And so I think it's a big confused issue, and anytime you run into that, anytime you run into a funny sales pitch, you don't buy the car. You know, when they ham and haw and won't talk to you straight, that tells you there's a problem. You don't vote for it.
Absolutely.
So I think people should say, no way are we going to go along with secret agreements. Put them out in the open. If it's a good treaty, we'll pass it. If it's a bad treaty, we'll get rid of it. But we're not voting for secret treaties.
Absolutely. Hey, real quick, Doctor, tell us about your new book, The Renewing America and Its Heritage of Freedom. Talk to us a little bit about that. Where can they get a copy?
Yeah, people love it. I think it's the best book ever written on freedom, but of course I'm biased. It's available on Amazon in either print or Kindle edition. Renewing America and Its Heritage of Freedom. It's all about our freedom, how we got it, how we're losing it in places, and how we have to work hard to get it back and to keep this country free, because there are a lot of progressive socialists out there that want to take over this country and run and micromanage our lives every day, and we don't need that.
Boy, I tell you what, you've got to come back more often. I really respect you. Dr. Gerard Lamero, you are always welcome on this program. Thank you for your insight. God bless, and I'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
God bless you, and I'd love to be back.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Man that really understands the hazards and dangers of the TPA, the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement. And I'm still very, very nervous about this. And I've had people call me and say, well, so-and-so's for it. Why aren't you for it? Because I don't know why they have to do everything in secret. I don't know why they have to do this behind closed doors. I don't know why they can't tell everybody what's in this agreement, what's good for us, what might be good for someone else, and let everybody know. Why do we have to have another Obamacare fiasco where we pass it and then we read the doggone thing and find out how dastardly the deeds are? I articulated dastardly with a D. Please remember that. Let's pay some bills here real quick, and I want to remind you about Let's Ride. Oh, my. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn, where the fun is sold. Oh, Oh, it's warm, and people are headed for the water. They're headed for the lake. They're headed for the river. They're headed for a puddle. And as long as the watercraft go zip, zip around the water, they're going to have a lot of fun. And they've got all the watercraft for you over at Let's Ride. My goodness, a great selection, too. And a lot of people are heading for the hills. Goodbye! They're headed up in the hills to enjoy all the fun they can have on their new 4x4s. And have they got a great selection over at Let's Ride. And a fantastic accessory department and a great service department, too. Let's Ride. You better believe it, between Rupert and Hayburn on Highway 24, where the fun is sold. Really good, folks. Okay, I got some more little goodies here I got to take care of, and then we're going to go to our next guest in just a few moments. And I want to remind you, it's Father's Day weekend. Oh, yeah. Kids, get your daddy something really nice. And we want to say Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. And the goodie basket at 133 West Main in Burley, Shelley and the rest of the gals can make up a basket for your dad or your hubby. Oh, and they do such a wonderful job. You know, they can specialty baskets, or you can get one of those that's already made up, and they can also deliver sandwiches and salads to your husband or dad's place of work. Oh, they deliver in the Mini-Cash area. The goodie basket. Really good. 133 West Main in Burley. The number to call is 647-0106. The Goodie Basket, along with Magic Valley Irrigation, wishing you dads a happy Father's Day. 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Number to call 678-3101. Jeff and the rest of the crew wish all the dads a happy day on Sunday, Father's Day. Sit back, relax, enjoy. And don't forget Magic Valley Irrigation when you're in the market for a new pivot system or all of your current irrigation needs. Whatever you need, they can help you right there at Magic Valley Irrigation, 678-3101. There you go. Happy Father's Day. Oh, and I know a couple of guys that are working hard for you every day of the week that they're in their office, with life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Wow, do they do a great job. Dean and Todd, very dedicated and responsive to your needs, and all you have to do is just call and make an appointment at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You get a hold of them today. Really good folks. I believe, unless Wheels tells me differently over at the station, that we have a lady that's coming on the program right now to talk about the Relay for Life, the Mini-Cash Relay for Life, and we have with us Vicki Cole. Vicki, are you there?
She is not.
She's not there.
No, I sent Deanne over an email telling her that Vicki is not answering and that's just going to her voicemail, and if you guys would have a secondary.
No, we verified that. You just called her? Deanne said, no, wait a minute, Wheels. Deanne just called her before the program, and read the number back to me on the air that you're calling, because we need to verify this real quick.
Okay, 260.
Yep.
0436.
That's what I have too, and I apologize for your inconvenience, but keep calling that number, and don't hesitate, okay? All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. We just reminded her this morning she had to be ready to go. Vicki, where are you? Anybody that knows where Vicki Cole is, grab her by the arm and say, Vicki, answer your phone, please. Thank you. While we're waiting for Vicki Cole, and hopefully she'll pick up her phone, I want to remind you about Joe Taylor. And Joe is one of the, if not the most respected realtors in the area at 1826 Overland in Burley. The number to call, 678-9400, and a member of both the Internet and local multiple listing. And don't forget, experience, well known in the community. This man knows real estate, and he wishes everybody a very happy June Dairy Month. And thank you, Joe Taylor. Did you want to say something, Wheels?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know if you could hear me or not.
I did. Go ahead.
All right, Vicky is ready for you now.
All right, Vicky, you were almost on my not-so-nice list. If you wouldn't have answered your phone, I'd have been really upset.
Oh, I apologize. I was on the phone with a volunteer.
Well, yeah, but radio takes preference over that. So here we go. Minnecaster Relay for Life is coming up soon. Tell us a little bit about the basics, and then we'll discuss how people can help or be involved. Minnecaster Relay for Life, June 19th and 20th, coming up this weekend at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo Grounds. Take it from there and tell us a little bit of the key points going on this weekend.
Well, we start the Relay for Life off with survivor recognition, and that will be at tomorrow night, this Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Just a second, I got to figure out where it's at. They changed it on me from years past. Just a sec, let me grab that. In the meantime, let me tell you what it is. During tomorrow night, we'll have a survivor and volunteer recognition dinner, and then we'll have a small program for survivors. The survivors will get their T-shirts tomorrow night, and we'll do their handprints.
Okay.
And then on Saturday or Friday evening, we will actually recognize them at the event and give them their survivor medallion. So tomorrow night, it's at the United Methodist Church Fellowship Hall on 420 East 27th Street in Burley.
Okay.
It starts at 6 p.m. The food has been prepared and donated by Cassia Regional Medical Center. They are actually sponsoring it for us this year. And we're inviting all cancer survivors and one caregiver out to the survivor dinner.
Okay.
And, you don't, in order to be called a survivor, you just have to have heard the words that you have cancer. And I hear so many say, well, I just had a little spot removed. If it's skin cancer, it's cancer. And we want to recognize you that you're surviving. So we encourage all cancer survivors to come out to that.
Well, I want to just interrupt you. Hold on a second, Vicki. I just want to say something to what you just mentioned. Whether it's skin cancer or whatever, cancer has many, many dangerous and deadly forms. I know because I have skin cancer. I have to be very, very careful with it. My wife had a couple of forms of skin cancer. You have to be very careful with it. And all the deadly variations. And that's why the Minnecaster Relay for Life is extremely important. Go ahead, take it from there.
And that's correct. But I do hear a lot of people who will say, well, it's just a little skin cancer. I didn't have to do this or I didn't have to do that. And that's why I stress, even if it's skin cancer, just a little spot that you didn't have to do the treatment, it's still cancer. And it's nice for people to see that you are surviving cancer. So we really encourage anybody that has heard those words, you have cancer, to attend this.
All right. Now, let me ask you this, Vicki. In the last year, now, I was sent this information by a lovely lady also, Patty Shockey. And last year, I understand that you raised more than $100,000. That is extremely impressive. Have you set a goal for this year that you'd like to supersede that number?
Yes, our goal this year is $105,000.
Okay. And how can people help? I mean, we're trying to draw awareness. We're trying to tell everybody about the Minnecaster Relay for Life and the walk that's going to take place at the Cassia County Fairgrounds. But what about donations? I mean, people that are listening are going to say, hey, whether it's $5, $20, $500 or whatever, maybe they can help. What do they do?
You can start out by donating online at www.cancer.org/Rupert Burley ID.
Okay.
And what did I say? The correct address, I'm sorry, is www.relayforlife.org/Rupert Burley ID.
Okay.
And you can start by donating there. or you can come to the event itself, and we have teams that are doing on-site fundraising, and they can donate through those, or we have a meal that's being served, and that's being provided by Stokes of Burley, and you could purchase that meal and donate money towards that. Or else you could just come in and make a general donation.
All right. Now, Vicki, what about this actual walking during the evening? What takes place during the Mini-Cassia Relay for Life? A lot of people have called me and they say, well, basically, what is it? You pass the baton and you run all night long? What basically happens at the event?
We ask one team member to be on the track the entire time. It goes all night. We have entertainment going. There'll be some bands, some youth entertainment. And then during the evening, we have a family that has prepared some up-all-night games. And so there's no chance to sleep with all the opportunities that you have to do entertainment there.
Mm-hmm. Now, the opening ceremonies, what do you have organized for the opening ceremonies at 6 o'clock on Friday night, June 19th, this weekend?
We will start with a small talk from a cancer survivor, and then the survivors will take that first lap, and they will be led by 3 youth in our community that have gone through cancer.
I see.
Our theme this year is Tackle Cancer, and so we thought it would be fun to pull some students that have had cancer and, just show that, cancer hits all shapes and forms, ages. You don't have to be an old person in order to get cancer. And we've got 3 youth that have been battling it or have battled it in the past. And so they're going to lead our survivors around that first lap.
All right. Now, there was something very interesting I read in the information that was given to me, and that's the caregiver's lap. A lot of people overlook the fact that there are caregivers, people that are out serving other people that are suffering from cancer. The caregivers are helping them. Talk a little bit about that, would you please?
Well, we want to be sure. Being a caregiver for someone going through cancer is exhausting. You always have to be up and positive, and it seems like your energy has to be endless. And so we want to recognize the fact that our caregivers are all not just people that are caring for you in your home. Our nurses, our receptionists when we go to the cancer center. That's where those caregivers start when we're going into those treatments, right there at the registration desk when we go to the cancer centers. And then all the way back, whether it's the chemo nurses or the radiation doctors, those are our caregivers. And they're seeing a lot of people, and they, some of them have positive results and some of them don't, as we know. And so that's got to be hard on them. As many times as they're seeing them, that, that they are facing every day.
Right.
And so those are our caregivers. Our people we go to church with that are, possibly maybe helping by providing meals for us. Our neighbors, our friends. Everybody cares about the person going through treatment, so it is exhausting, and we want to recognize the fact that those caregivers are an important part of our survivor's life.
Vicki, I was reading some notes about cancer and all the deadly, dangerous forms, and one statistic that really jumped out at me was on any given day in the United States, any day, more than 4,100 people will hear that you have cancer. I had no idea that over 4,000 people a day are given that message. That's got to be devastating.
It is devastating. It rocks your world when you hear those words. As you're aware, if you heard the words you had cancer, it changes your whole life. That becomes your primary area of focus for at least a year, for a minimum of a year. pretty much what you think about every morning when you wake up and every night when you go to bed.
Right. And what about this Luminaria ceremony? Now, I have walked in past Relay for Lives, and I'm aware of what this is, but tell the public what takes place after dark with the Luminaria ceremony.
For a $10 donation, you can light a luminaria in honor of someone that has had cancer and survived, or in memory of someone that has had cancer and passed away. We have a program, and then the luminarias are, we have a special place for them this year. We're going to tier them so that everybody can see them. And so as you're walking around this path to see the luminarias, it's a quiet time. We ask for a quiet and reverence. If children are there, we ask parents to keep the children quiet, and we reflect on the memories that we have of the people. And as you're reading them, you're surprised to read how many, some of the people in the community that have passed away from cancer or who have battled cancer that you aren't aware of. It's for many that are, that might be the first or second year. It might be fresh for people who've lost a survivor. It really can be a healing time.
Absolutely.
And so that's one of the reasons we ask for everybody to be quiet, because it is kind of a solemn time.
Absolutely.
As you're remembering those that have passed away.
Well, now, Vicki, what about, now it goes all through the evening, and basically it's a no-sleep night dedication to garnering funds for cancer research. And it goes until, I believe, 6 a.m. the next morning? And then how do you disband this function? How do you stop it? What do you say? What do you do? What happens at the closing ceremony? Hello, Vicki, can you hear me? Yeah, I don't know what happened, but we lost her on her cell phone. Wheels, try to call her back right away, would you? And I think what we'll do is a weather forecast really quick. All of a sudden, Vicki was gone, and we lost contact with her. Our weather this hour is brought to you by Duck Ugly, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. What a great place for a delicious meal and great entertainment. Oh, my, yes. Friday and Saturday, delicious, and I mean fantastic smoked ribs. Oh, they are good, along with all the other menu choices. And a lot of people don't realize they serve breakfast over there at Duck Ugly's Monday through Friday with breakfast burritos that are fantabulous. Duck Ugly's, don't forget, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. And right now, here is the weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is Debbie the Ranch. Nice weather all week. There you go. There's really not too much to talk about. Your weather theme for this week, it's going to be hot. 87 for the high today. You'll hit 91 tomorrow, and you'll pretty much stay in the upper 80s, low 90s all the way through Monday of next week. So, pretty simple forecast. It's still officially spring. We're getting summer, but as usual with the Magic Valley, and after living in the area for over 7 years, it's amazing how you start your seasons early than what they're supposed to. Where am I going with this? For the whole time that I lived there, it's been consistent for 7 years that your summer always started 2 weeks early before the actual date, which is June 21st. It's amazing, but you got a nice day, so do your chores so you can go play golf and go up the city of rocks and go spend some time and go for a walk for a nice evening and beautiful sunset, all that good stuff. For the weather, it is the only weather you've got.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Brought to you this hour by a great place to go for a delicious meal and lots of great entertainment. Duck Ugly's, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Wheels, did we get her back on the air?
We did.
All right, Vicki, I don't know what happened to your phone. It got cut off all of a sudden.
I don't know. I was sitting there talking and you were gone.
Well, I didn't leave, honestly. I'm still sitting in the same chair. Vicki, tell us a little bit about, please, the closing ceremony at 6 a.m. approximately the next morning on the 20th. What happens?
Well, we start with recognizing our teams, and obviously our ones that have raised the most money, they get a little bit of a reward. Our individuals that raise the most money, we just give out a few awards during that ceremony, and then we just do a brief recap of the event, announce our theme for next year. And we just really encourage people to fight back year-round. And when I say fight back, I'm talking about having your checkups.
Right.
If you're a woman, getting your annual mammograms. And if you're a man over 50, getting pap smears every year. Just become aware of your body, know your body, look for any signs of change. And, be aware of those and go to the doctor if you see any changes. And then we can continue fighting back by donating to the American Cancer Society all year long.
Absolutely. And the goal this year for the Mini-Cassia Relay for Life is $105,000 for this year, to beat last year's total by $5,000. And this year's theme is Let's Tackle Cancer. And Vicki Cole, I want to say how much I've been honored to be so supportive of this Mini-Cassia Relay for Life. The people have been phenomenal, and we wish you and everyone connected with it at the Cassia County Fairgrounds a great success for this year. I'm sure it'll be a huge, fantastic success. And call us after it's all over and let us know how the money went, okay?
We will. Thank you so much for your support.
All right. Thank you very much. And cancer has hit so many families and devastated so many families. Let's do all we can to help raise money for cancer research and support the Mini-Cassia Relay for Life. As a matter of fact, I understand that my dear friend Dave Zanino and his team roping on next week on the 24th, I believe they're going to have a Relay for Life roping, and they're going to be serving a dinner and everything else over at the Jerome County Fairgrounds prior to the roping, and the proceeds are going to help fight cancer with the Relay for Life. So Dave, thank you very much. Dawn, his lovely wife, thank you for all your help. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, please give me a jingle, and I'd love to visit with you about any topic this morning, so give me a call on the landline if you would. While I am waiting for your call, which will absolutely tickle me to death, I'd like to remind you that pianist Jim Hendricks, professor of music at Chicago State University, will be in concert at the historic Wilson Theater Saturday, June 27th at 7 p.m. Now, tickets are on sale at the Wilson Theater, the bookstore, Welch's Music in Burley, and at the door, $5 17 and under, $10 adults, and $25 for a family ticket. Now, Jim Hendricks is internationally known as a pianist, and he's appeared with such greats as the Glenn Miller Orchestra, Dave Brubeck. I love Dave Brubeck's music. Della Reese and many others. And for more information on this, call my dear friend Gary Shoresman at 436-3982. Once again, that number, 436-3982. All right, your calls. Welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I might make another group of people mad here this morning, but it needs to be said. I think it was in very poor taste. I think it was in a state of not really understanding where we are on climate change. I think it is in a position of power that this was done, but I'm not at all in favor of it. And I'll tell you what I mean. With the stroke of a pen, Pope Francis could alter the climate debate to the side of President Obama and the liberals that are adhering to climate debate and change. I'm not in favor of this at all. I think the Pope, and for those of you out in the audience that are Catholic, I am no means saying anything negative about your beliefs at all. I do think, though, that it was not correct for Pope Francis to weigh in and provide an encyclical to which he says it's morally imperative to get involved and slow global warming. We are not seeing global warming. And there's not one single scientist that can prove that there has been global warming for the last, leading up to now, 18 to 19 years. As a matter of fact, the climate, the globe, the world has been in a cooling trend, and they are now saying, many great scientists, ranging from all the way on the West Coast all the way to the East Coast of this country, major universities saying that we are going into a very, and the word severe was used, cooling trend, which could alter a lot of our crop growth, etc., in this country. And I don't think, I'll say it again, that it was wise for Pope Francis to weigh in and issue an encyclical that shows that he is in favor of global climate change measures and ask all Catholics to be a part of it. I don't think that was right at all. I know I'm going to take some heat on this, but so be it. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I want to remind you that while I'm waiting for your call, I'm not going to run away from any issue on this program. I'll tell you that right up front. Regardless of how dangerous the position might be to me and or your thoughts of me, I'm not going to run and hide. Every Thursday on this program, we have a segment called Cassia County School Days, and I want to say thank you to both of those sponsors that bring that to you on Thursdays, and that's Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley, saving you money on many, many life-saving operations and surgeries, like colonoscopies, as a matter of fact, and carpal tunnel syndrome surgeries. All you have to do is call them and find out more at 677-8888. That number again, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center in Burley, along with A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, and they've got all the fun water toys to play outside in the hot summer days, running through the sprinkler and everything else, and they got all the games for the kids to enjoy when they're in the back seat of the car on road trips and everything at A Child's World. 1308 Overland in Burley, along with the Ambulatory Surgery Center, providing you the program on our show every week on Thursdays, Cassia County School Days. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle. Don't leave me hanging here this morning. I really would appreciate your calls. And coming up next half hour, and that's why the dog is barking in the background, Ruby's after Dr. History as he walks down the hallway. She's only got a 1-inch jump high, vertical, and she can tear the dickens out of your ankle. That's about how high she can jump. Calls are welcome, 436-2244. Want to say thank you to the United Dairymen of Idaho. And this, of course, being June Dairy Month, and we certainly appreciate all their efforts. And United Dairymen of Idaho and June Dairy Month and many, many of our businesses that are involved in promoting this as June Dairy Month. And we thank all of our sponsors here on this program. One of the facts that I didn't know, and the average cow, did you know this? I'll give you a little fact here. The average dairy cow produces enough milk each day to fill 6 1-gallon jugs, about 55 pounds of milk. 1 cow per day provides enough milk to fill 6 1-gallon jugs, about 55 pounds of milk. And each person, let me see here, I think I mentioned this the other day, that the average cow drinks from 30 to 50 gallons of water each day. That's about like filling up your bathtub. That's how much each cow drinks. So, a couple of dairy facts right here for you for June Dairy Month. Wheels, did you know that a cow drinks your bathtub dry?
Actually, to be honest, I have farm animals, stutter, but I did not know that as far as cows go, but I know horses drink a lot of water.
Yes, they do. Have you got horses at your place?
I do. I got too many horses.
You got too many horses. Okay.
Many horses.
What do you use your horses for, by the way?
They're pretty much just pets. You can't really ride them because when we got them, they had something wrong with their legs.
Oh.
So
are you telling me they're just lawn ornaments? Is that what they are?
Well, they get their exercise and stuff like that. And we run around with them, but yes, I do got 2 horses, and so I can see why cows would drink a lot of milk or drink a lot of water because even then horses drink a lot.
All right. Well, you take care of those horses. Someday we'll compare notes. Right now, we're going to get ready to go to the news from CBS and be back in just a few minutes with a segment that everybody loves, Dr. History. Don't go away. I'll bet you thought I wasn't going to get back on the air. Well, I forgot to turn my microphone on, to be very honest with you. Here we are, Zeb at the Ranch on a beautiful, outstanding Tuesday. And in just a moment, we're going to have the silver-throated tones of Dr. History with us, so stand by. Don't forget the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. What have they got for today? Well, this is just what Dr. History wanted. Teriyaki meatballs served over white rice with vegetables and super salad. Ooh, that does sound good. Teriyaki meatballs, along with all the other great menu choices at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Great food, great people, great atmosphere at the Chadwick. Right now, without further ado, we're going to say that it's time for Dr. History, a segment that everybody enjoys and looks forward to. And it's brought to you by Minnecasia Sales at 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. And the number to call Zach and the rest of the folks, 878-2091. All your remodeling projects with your lumber and your western windows and all the carpet. And, of course, don't forget, too, here's something else for you. If you've got livestock, they've got all the Tartar gates and panels, everything you need. Absolutely first class. Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley. And now, here he is, back from a week on vacation, living on the beach in Tahiti. Here's Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb.
How are you?
I'm great. It wasn't exactly the beach of Tahiti, but it was the beach of Henry's Lake.
Oh, you were up at Henry's Lake.
Yes.
I have never had the opportunity. I've been by it, but I've never had the opportunity to spend some time up there.
Beautiful country.
Yeah.
We went over to Virginia City, Nevada City, out of Venice. There are 2 ghost towns that I highly recommend people take the time to go visit.
Really? Yeah.
And then over to West Yellowstone. And in fact, I didn't know this till this year, but on every weekend, I believe Saturday and Sunday through the summer at Nevada City, which is a ghost town, they open up the doors to all the buildings. They'll have blacksmith men and guys walking around with the period clothing on.
Really?
Yeah, so we haven't been there during that, but we're going to try to make that.
I have got to get out and enjoy some of that, and really it'd be kind of fun for you to be my tour guide. Yes. I'm not going to pay you, but it'd be fun to have you as my tour guide.
I just assumed that.
All right, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we're going to talk about the King Ranch.
Oh, my.
And this was one of the more famous, and you said you have been there, I believe. Isn't that right?
I've been on the outskirts of it and everything, but I have a very good friend, Omar Alvarez, that was born and raised on the King Ranch and knows all the intricacies of what was the history.
Okay. Well, we'll get going here. Sometime in the mid-1850s, Lieutenant Colonel Robert E. Lee, the epitome of a Virginia gentleman, reportedly offered some words of wisdom to a rough-and-tumble young rancher named Richard King, with whom he had become friendly while on U.S. Army duty in Texas.
Okay.
He said, buy land, he said, because and never sell it. But the precept was one that King followed to the end of his days, and in so doing, he became the archetype of a new breed of businessmen on horseback who really stamped an indelible brand on the West. And if you think about that, I told you I'm reading about Charles Goodnight right now, too, and the cattle drives, and really the cattle industry was a huge, huge part of settling of the Old West.
You know, the thing I want to interrupt and ask you about is when you look at Goodnight and you look at the Kings and you look at so many other people in the Old West, Midwest, they really hung their necks on the chopping block, didn't they?
Oh yeah, there were so many ways to lose your whole herd.
Yeah.
So, but these were the ranchers who set up their spreads on rolling plains and uplands from Texas to Montana, from Kansas to California. Now, some built empires of land and livestock that gave them powers at home and influence far beyond their domains. Now, on the other side of that coin, there's others who just barely survived, just like today, I guess, really.
Yeah.
But they produced the beef and the mutton that Americans ate, the leather, the woolen goods Americans wore, and the horses Americans rode. I mean, not just cattle, but sheep and horse ranchers.
Right.
So it never was easy. The ranchers had to defend their lands and their livestock not only against Indians, but also against rustlers, squatters, and each other. They also had to cope with the winters of the killing cold, the summers of the drought. Market prices, just like now, went up and down, out of control. So,
back in those days, really 180 years ago, they were fighting for private property rights just like we are today. I mean, people came out, like you mentioned, the squatters, and they just basically thought, well, it's open land, we'll just take it.
Sure. And also, this cow is just wandering out here. I think I'll go ahead and butcher it.
Yeah.
Or start my own herd.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But somehow they persevered, and in their heyday from 1866 to 1886, Western ranchers shipped more than 10 million cattle and 1 million sheep to market in the East.
Oh, my.
Now, that's a lot of cows.
That is.
They also created jobs for 40,000 cowboys and herders. They founded communities inhabited by 500,000 people and kept another 1 million people busy in the East and the Midwest by processing the meat as it came through.
Right.
So it was a huge industry. Now, if any one ranch was a blueprint for success, it was the legendary establishment in the south of Texas Prairie between the Rio Grande and the Nueces River. Nueces River.
Yep, I've been there.
Okay. It was to become the world's largest stock-raising operation and the only American ranch to develop a new breed of beef cattle, the cherry red Santa Gertrudis.
Yes.
And you've seen those.
Yes, beautiful herd.
But above all else, it also mirrored the reflection of the extraordinary founder, none other than Richard King.
Mm-hmm.
Now, picture this guy. I've got a picture in front of me, and I showed you that. But he stood nearly 6 feet tall, broad-shouldered, muscly guy, kind of like me, piercing blue eyes.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was just thinking, kind of like you. Kind of like you.
Kind of, and a big jaw, determined. Yeah. He fought with his fists as well as his mind. He enjoyed both kinds of contests. Ferociously ambitious. He could still wait patiently for years to attain his goals. A risk-taking innovator, he was nonetheless as careful as a Boston banker. In all, a friend said, I never met a rougher man nor a better one. So he had a great reputation.
May I ask and interrupt right here, where was he from or what was his family heritage? Where did they come from?
I think I'm going to get to that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, actually, I am right here. Next sentence. Here we go.
We're ready.
He'd come far, the hard way. The son of a poor Irish immigrant. Yeah. He escaped New York's slums as a boy of 11. So obviously he grew up in New York, stowing away on a ship bound for the Gulf of Mexico. At 11 years old. Stowed away.
Can't imagine.
Yeah. So he earned his pilot's license and the title of captain and enough money to go into the riverboat business with a friend.
Uh-huh.
So prospered by ferrying goods up and down the Rio Grande from Brownsville in Texas. So although already a success by most men's standards, King was restless and ready to take a stab at something else a little more risky. So 1852. Now he's 27 years old.
27.
And he's a riverman. He mounted a horse. Now, keep in mind, he had not ridden horses. So he got on his first horse. Well, maybe not the first, but he was pretty awkward. He wasn't your typical jump on and John Wayne ride away type.
John Wayne wasn't that good a rider
either. Well, that's true. So he set out with a friend on a 170-mile trip from Brownsville to Corpus Christi, Texas.
Wow.
Now, when they got there, King ran into a friend named Gideon Lewis, and he was a Texas militiaman who knew the Santa Gertrudis area. Well, a partnership evolved, and King would finance and set up a cattle camp. Now, Lewis and his militia would guard and supervise the fledgling ranch, but hardly had the enterprise begun than Lewis, a dedicated womanizer, was shot to death by the husband of one of his where he shouldn't have been.
I see. And we won't go any further.
That's all we're going to say about him.
Yeah, betcha.
He's dead.
Yeah, gone.
So, anyway, it was customary for ranchers simply to occupy and use vacant lands back then. So, King went to the trouble of seeking out the heirs to an original Spanish grant on the Santa Gertrudis and purchasing their 15,000 acres for $300.
$300 total dollars?
15,000 acres.
Oh.
And a little later, he paid $1,800 for another 53,000 adjoining acres of prime grassland.
There's a good place for me to get a commercial in there. And then I want to come back and ask you a question about that, too. Don't forget Mini-Cash Sales with Zach and his crew. He has a phenomenal crew of people that can help you replacing and upgrading your windows with the Western windows. Phenomenal people that can help you with the installation of your great carpet. And, of course, all your remodeling projects, maybe fixing your roof, whatever. All you have to do is stop in and see them today at Mini-Cash Sales, 1321 East Main in Burley, right across from the airport. Number to call for information, 878-2091. 878-2091. Mini-Cash Sales, bringing you Dr. History. One question, and I'm sure you've already thought about it because you're an entrepreneur and a businessman. Did you ever think back in the old days they didn't have access to the banks to hold their money? Where did they store, where did they keep, or did they transport their money with them? This must have been a little dangerous.
Okay, and I'm going to get to that too.
Really?
Believe it or
and
not.
I hadn't read the script.
You haven't. Okay, so early in his ranching career, King hit upon a novel way of staffing his ranch. During a purchasing trip south of the Mexican border, he bought all the livestock available in a drought-stricken, poor village down in Mexico. And realizing that the villagers were left without a business to sustain them, he made them an offer. He said if they would come and work on the King Ranch, that he would build homes for the men and their women and their families. So they came, more than 100, out of this village in a long, noisy caravan, riding rickety two-wheeled carts and wheelbarrows. But they found King to be firm and demanding, but unlike a lot of the other guys, he was very kind and he treated them fairly.
I see.
He was good to these people. And in turn, they gave him their loyalty. They became really the nucleus of the King Ranch, these Mexican people.
Right.
In fact, you mentioned a friend of yours that grew up
That's right.
in that group.
Yep.
So,
Omar, if you're listening, we're talking about you.
Yeah. So in 1854, when King took as his bride Henrietta Chamberlain, she was a pretty daughter of a Presbyterian minister in Brownsville, and she kind of got after him because evidently King had a little bit of a profane language problem.
Oh, you don't say.
How could that happen around cattle?
Golly.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But Henrietta must have been patient, and she looked after the Mexican people that were there. She nursed their sick. The people came to adore this woman, and they called her La Patrona. I guess
La Patrona.
La Patrona, which I'm not sure what that means. But
I think it means the mother.
lady.
The mom.
The mother, something like that, yeah.
I think.
Yep. So, anyway, a herd normally doubled in size in 3 years, and up to 1,000 head could be tended by a single cowhand who earned perhaps $25 a month.
Really?
Yeah. Beyond that, mature longhorns valued in Texas at $3 a head might bring $30 at distant local markets.
Mm-hmm.
So only when the day came that they could be delivered swiftly and cheaply was the key point here. So, driving the animals to market 1,000 or more miles away, you had the Indians, you had drought, you had stampedes. That was a shaky business, and some guys lost their whole herds.
And some guys lost their lives because longhorns on the trail were not exactly the nicest animal to be around.
Yeah. So Richard King could wait, and while biding his time, he would improve his herd. So the Texas Longhorn was hardly a nimble beast. It was hardy and drank little water and was really suited to the surroundings, but it didn't produce as good a beef.
Yeah, that's right.
And I've never eaten that kind, but I can only imagine. Now, the eastern breeds, on the other hand, the eastern cattle, had trouble traveling long distances on rugged ground, more vulnerable to disease, drought, insects, and heat. So, to combine the Longhorn's toughness with the meatiness of the eastern breeds, King began importing the blooded Durhams to cross with his best native stock.
Right.
So, slowly but steadily, his breeding experiments improved the quality of his stock.
Yep.
So, during the Civil War, King served the South by transporting cotton on his steamboats. Most Texas cowboys went off to fight the Yankees. They left behind them thousands of young bulls that would ordinarily have been castrated. They bred at a fearful rate, and at the war's end, the state was drowning in cattle. 6 million animals roaming.
Roaming free.
Yeah, no place to go.
Yep.
Well, the Texas ranchers were saved, however, by the coming of the railroads, most notably the old Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe.
Yes, sir. They wrote a song about
They did
that.
write a song, which in 1868 swung south from St. Louis and passed through the recession of prairie hamlets in southern Kansas. Abilene, Dodge City immediately became the trail's end for these big cattle drives. Now, Richard King shipped no fewer than 60,000 head to the Kansas markets. And he might have sold even more had it not been for an onslaught of rustlers who stole more than $1 million worth of his stock before they were squelched in 1875.
Oh, my.
Now, they were mostly Mexican outlaws operating from hideouts south of the Rio Grande, and some of their raids against the hated Texans. I mean, it was a kind of a tough way to make a living.
Really, yeah.
But anyway, of his frequent trips to Brownsville, King later recalled, "I had to travel fast. My life depended on it." In his usual careful way, he posted expert riflemen at small relay stations built at 20-mile intervals along a 125-mile route and stocked with fresh horses. For each trip, King concealed his funds. This is what you were asking about.
Yeah.
Sometimes as much as $50,000 for payrolls and purchasing land. He had it in a steel safe built into his stagecoach. He rode inside with a shotgun at the ready and was escorted by half a dozen armed men.
And this is with the cattle?
No, I'm thinking this is just when he went back and forth to purchase cattle and bring payroll.
I see.
So, anyway, helpless against thieves, many of King's neighbors abandoned their ranches and they moved to nearby towns. But King, he held on and defied the outlaws who had vowed to hang him. In February 1875, a large force of Mexicans attacked his ranch, killed several hands, and stole a large herd of horses. Mm-hmm. Well, a month later, they did it again.
Really?
The second attack. Well, finally, the state government took action by reestablishing the Texas Rangers.
Right.
Now, the Rangers killed bandits. They displayed their bodies in Brownsville Market as a warning, laid them there, and the Texans even invaded Mexico to recover stolen cattle.
That might work in New York today.
It could. Well, by the end of 1875, most of the rustlers had found safer ways to make a living. Besides, you don't want to face those Texas Rangers.
No.
So, well, with the rustler troubles behind him and with the cattle market now booming, King, during the next several years, built up his ranch into a 600,000-acre empire. By his estimate, about $6.5 million.
I can't even fathom that.
Well, and if it's $6.5 million then, what is it? Would it be at least 10 times that, or 20?
Oh, my goodness.
So,
yeah.
But yet, for all his influence and despite his advancing age, Richard King remained Richard King, swapping rough jokes with his cowboys, keeping a jug of rosebud whiskey close at hand, and
good man.
When it seemed advisable, using his fists to make a point. In fact, one day, a big ranch hand named Kelly objected to a reprimand from King. He says, "If you were not such a rich man and a captain," he declared, "you wouldn't cuss me as you do." Replied King, "Darn you."
Darn you. I think, have you perhaps censored some of the verbiage?
I could have.
I see.
Darn you.
Darn you.
Forget the riches and the captain title and let's fight. Well, fight they did, as the story goes, for half an hour, wrestling on the floor, the bloody floor of a ranch slaughterhouse. Then, exhausted, they shook hands in mutual admiration and walked away.
Really?
So, anyway, darn him.
Yeah.
Sometime in 1882, at age 57, King began suffering from a stabbing pain in his stomach.
Uh-oh.
Turned out to be stomach cancer. governor.
Oh, my.
So King patiently started to set his affairs in order, designating as his successor a son-in-law, and maybe you've heard this name, Robert Kleberg.
Yes.
And not until early 1885 could King finally be persuaded to place himself under the care of a San Antonio doctor.
And that was in 1885, right?
Right.
Okay.
So as he left his beloved ranch, King issued orders, and managers told him what to do, what not to do as a final gesture. And
he didn't see home again?
Never again would Richard King see the clear waters of the Santa Gertrudis.
No kidding.
Fascinating man.
Oh.
Fascinating man.
And the lineage of the family with the Klebergs and, of course, the King Ranch itself. And many people think, it was a great big ranch with a lot of the Santa Gertrudis, but they had the breeding of some of the greatest horses known to the United States.
And that would only make sense, really, because if you're going to have good cattle, you're going to have good horses.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That's a great story about the King Ranch, and it still is in existence today, but it has dwindled quite a bit.
Yeah, I would imagine with family splitting it up here, splitting it up there, just guessing,
But you got to admire, and I'm sitting here and I was fascinated with this story because of Mr. King's audacity to look at everything else and say, full speed ahead, we're going to do it my way, and he was successful.
Well, and again, see, now compared to Goodnight was moving cattle all during this time, losing them, having them stolen by the Indians or killed and run and all this, but King had the foresight to just hang on, let his herd grow until things were better.
Right.
And then he made quite a fortune, I think.
You know, there has been so many people in the Old West like Chisholm and Goodnight and King, and the list goes on, that if it hadn't have been for them and what they did, you and I might not be sitting here today.
Well, and I have mentioned quite a while ago that they used to drive cattle right through here, right past us on the Snake River, over to the Owyhee country.
Yep.
And at one time, I think it was before the King, the largest cattle ranch in the world was over in the Owyhee area.
That's right. So, you did it again. You hit a home run right out of the park.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed that story.
Yeah. I love to hear success stories about, and really he didn't have anybody to imitate or emulate. He was kind of his own man, wasn't he?
He really was.
Yeah.
Let me show you this family gathering picture.
Okay. Family gathering picture.
Looks like a Sunday dinner or something.
Sunday afternoon, and some of the women, because of the way they lived, not very much makeup, but they always look so stern, didn't they?
They do, and I think part of it is because the picture had to be taken like a time lapse, and you weren't supposed to move.
Yeah, and I'm assuming, is that Mr. King here on this end?
I'm not sure. I didn't do that.
We have a quick call. I've only got a minute left. Fast, caller. Go ahead.
Yes, when we worked for Adams Cattle Company, who had the XIT branch in Kansas in the 50s, we had a stud from the King Ranch, and he was the most beautiful horse I think I've ever seen.
Aha! There you go, sir. I know who this is, and I respect your call. Thank you so much. Thank you. You got another picture to show me, or what? Oh, okay.
That's it.
What's that book from? The title of that book, by the way. That is The Old West, and it really from Time Life Books, and they do a great job, don't they?
Yeah, I've taken several stories out of this. It's good information.
What are we going to talk about next week? I know you're prepared.
You know how well prepared I am.
Yeah.
I'll know next Sunday or Monday.
Okay. Dr. Ken Turner, my dear friend, better known as Dr. History, brought to you by Minnecasia Sales at 1321 East Main in Burley, right across from the airport. Always look forward to having him on the program. Don't forget, too, real quick, Vicky's Country Gardens. And on Thursday, we have a program called Gardening for Idiots, and we answer all your questions about gardening, watering, pesticides, everything else that you need to know. Be sure and call in. And remember, Vicky's Country Garden, your garden needs one stop. Everything is at 185 South, 600 West of Paul, Vicky's Country Gardens. Or give Vicky a call at 438-5663. We're going to take a little break, and then when we come back, we'll talk to Dan Gaynor about a real insidious foundation called the Tides Foundation. Don't go away. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now Now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Thank you very much. And before we get our guest on the air, I want to remind you, June Dairy Month, cheese, milk, ice cream. Oh, it's all delicious. And our thanks go to some of our sponsors for June Dairy Month, and they are Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls, with my old buddy Reese Widmeyer and the rest of the crew, fishing equipment and camping equipment, hunting equipment, everything for Father's Day at Sportsman's Warehouse in Twin Falls, 737-9900, along with Butte Irrigation, 116 South, 600 West of Paul, and a new location at 22342 Kimberly Road in Twin. Bryce is at the Paul store, and Paul is at the Kimberly store with all your irrigation needs. Don't forget Butte Irrigation. They'll get you wet, and they salute June Dairy Month. Right now, let's go to the phone lines, and an old friend of ours is on here this morning. Dan Gaynor, how are you?
He's not answering either, Zeb.
Dan Gaynor's not answering either. Let me give you a backup telephone number just in case. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, I'll listen to you through my headphones.
All right, 301-442-8853. Call him right away, would you please?
Will do.
All right, sir, thank you. We've had this problem a couple of times this morning where our guests aren't where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be, and hopefully Wheels can find him and we'll get him on the air in just a moment. Rupert, 4th of July is right around the corner, and we want to say their great big celebration is going to run from June 30th all the way through the 4th of July, and the theme this year is Salute Our Troops. Rupert 4th of July celebration starting on the 30th with Christmas in July breakfast at 6 a.m. at the City Square, I should say. And then, of course, going on through the day on the 1st of July, they're going to have great entertainment in the carnival. 2nd of July, don't forget the patriotic program at 6:30 p.m. July 3rd, it continues all the way through the 4th of July with horse races at the fairgrounds, and at 8 p.m. on the 4th of July, a family rodeo. All kinds of fun. Salute our troops. 4th of July celebration in Rupert. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I missed the very end of Dr. History, but you had kind of a question about Spanish words in there.
Yes.
El Patron is the boss.
Yeah,
La Patrona would be the female boss.
Patrona would be the female boss. Yes, thank you very much. You can tell I never took Spanish in high school.
No problem.
No, I appreciate that, and there's a lot to be said for the way they ran and regulated that ranch, and boy, I tell you what, it was a big part of the American history. Thank you so much for your call. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
All right, sir. Calls welcome, 436-2244. Let's check with Wheels and see if we have Dan Gaynor on the line.
No responses.
Keep trying. Deanne, would you take this and try to reach them on email and why they're not there? And in that case, what we will do is ask you to get involved and give us a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle on the landline.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
He actually is ready.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm glad you caught him. Dan Gaynor, an old partner of mine.
Hey,
Thank
Dave,
you.
How are you?
I'm good, Dan. What's going on back in the land of milk and money?
It's pretty much all your money. That's the nature of Washington. Is everybody else brings we bring money from all around the country and bring it here so that people in Washington still have some. The rest of the country they don't care about.
You know, I really got to tell you, Dan, I'm getting discouraged, and I don't think that anybody is carrying a bucket of water to any horse. I think they're just self-serving themselves. I look at the Hillary campaign, and I'm totally disgusted with their attitude and her reactions to attitudes. I look at all the Republicans that are running, and I'm getting really scared. I'm going to throw a name at you this morning before we get in to discuss about the tide Tides Foundation. I'm going to throw a name at you, and I think this man could be the person to keep the other Republicans towing the mark. I don't think he's going to get elected, but I think he can create a lot of havoc and make the other possible nominees stand up straight and do their best, and that's Donald Trump. Do you agree or disagree?
I don't think Trump's a serious candidate. I think a lot of people in the media will treat him like he's not a serious candidate, and that's his downfall. He's got a lot of name recognition, so he'll be hard to ignore. He's telegenic and bombastic. That makes him even harder to ignore.
Yeah,
but I don't think he has a real core constituency, and you know, it enables the media. His entry into the race enables the media to do what they really want to do with this race, which is lampoon the large crowd of people running for the GOP nomination and to downplay the negatives of the people running for the Democratic nomination.
Yeah, but Dan, wouldn't you agree that most of the Republicans, and I mean most of them, I've lost a lot of respect for these guys. They don't seem to be informed. They don't seem to understand the Constitution. They don't understand what their constituents want across the board here in America. They don't seem to understand what's going to put America first, and I'm fed up with a whole doggone bunch of them.
Well, I mean, I think some of what happens is the media plays gotcha with things they want to worry about. If you saw the interview with, her name is Keller, interviewing Ben Carson, she wanted to talk about LGBT issues, and he didn't. And that's, you know, it's like, well, you know, you've got to be able to answer questions. Like, well, you know, this is, that's not something that Ben Carson cares about. It's not one of his big issues. And so journalists have their agenda, and their agenda is the one that they want the media and the debates and everything focused on, and not what the candidates want.
Dan, I want to talk to you a little bit this morning about a subject that I know you're very, very well educated on, and I got to admit, I don't understand all the ins and outs about this group. Sounds pretty insidious to me, the Tides Foundation, founded back in 1976. And boy, these people with the Tides Foundation and some of their money doesn't sound like they're really American red, white, and blue.
Well, I mean, it's nothing else. They're a liberal nonprofit. I mean, it's not a debatable point. They're a liberal nonprofit. The way it operates, Tides Foundation is sort of like the mothership. And Tides Center is a connected organization that runs all these incubators. It's an incubator for all these liberal startups. Okay, even the Wikipedia page for Tides is honest that it's a, quote, progressive operation. Yet somehow or another, you and I are funding it.
Yeah.
To the tune of $82.7 million. And I say when you and I are funding it, I mean the federal government has sent $82.7 million to Tides Foundation and Tides Center. Most of the money has gone to Tides Center, which means it goes directly to liberal projects. But a little of the money, $2.5 million, which is not little in my life, but by comparison, that goes to Tides Foundation, and we have no way, and I mean no way, of tracking where that money goes. The Tides Foundation is one of these charitable organizations designed for anonymity. So if you contribute to it, then you specify where you want the money to go, and it goes there, and there's no way of tracing it.
Okay, Dan, but wait a minute. Why aren't some of the politicians, why aren't the senators and congressmen and others watchdogs, why aren't they crying wolf over this situation? $82.7 million in grants of our money. Why isn't somebody saying, wait a minute, where's all this green going for?
Now, the problem we've found in the past is there's a quote attributed to the former, I think it's Senator Dirksen, who's one of the Capitol Hill buildings is named after, and the quote is attributed to him, if not really a quote he ever said, but it's a billion here, a billion there, sooner or later you're talking about real money. And, $87 million is, not real money to a lot of people in Washington. It's hard to get politicians motivated about it.
Mm-hmm. When you talk about some of the things that they are supporting, and I was absolutely shocked, some are anti-Jewish, some are against having humans even be on the planet with favor of population control, and they're spending our money to actually cut our own throats, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing we don't know, because they have 133 separate projects. We don't know which the money went to. And the ones you just mentioned, including training protesters in Ferguson, those are all projects of the Tide Center. But because their tax forms don't allot enough information for us to identify which ones those went to, those are just some of the various projects. They have, I mean, like I said, they have 133 in their time that they've been around. I think they've had more than 800. And what's been happening is year over year over year, government funding of this organization, this alleged nonprofit, and this openly liberal organization has gone up every year.
Is there a way that we, the conservatives, can have our voices representative, maybe by fighting fire with fire, and start an organization and or a foundation that would be conservative to combat what they're doing?
Well, I mean, there's still a lot of groups that combat the various things that they do. The problem is not one of them's getting federal money. So, I mean, think about this for a second. You have to put this in perspective. Imagine how many talk radio stations you could run for a year with $87 million.
Oh, my. Yeah.
I mean, that's just... What has happened effectively is that the left has weaponized our government. And that means they've managed to use the IRS against people. They've managed to use, and now the various divisions of government funding left-wing organizations. How can the right compete when the left is getting funded by our own tax dollars? We fund the Center for Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which means PBS and NPR. NPR, which competes against you. We're funded.
You know, it's just absolutely, it blows my mind, it boggles my mind that conservatives have any voice whatsoever left in this country, because it seems like there's always something on the left that's going to come out like a hammer and pound the nail right in the board. And right now this is proven with what you're talking about, the Tides Foundation. If left unchecked, how much bigger can this get?
Well, I mean, what has happened is, more and more, we're fighting a organized left that has insinuated itself into academia, media, and government. And if you were trying to take over a third world country, those are the areas that you would focus on if you had a long-term plan. So, I mean, the media don't do these investigations. We don't have anywhere near the conservative resources to do investigations of all the different funding in government. I mean, we brought in a record amount in taxes this past fiscal year. I think it's more than $4 trillion. All-time record. Well, $4 trillion goes a lot of different places. You throw in the fact that we're hundreds of billions of dollars in debt, you're looking more like 4.4 maybe trillion dollars. Trying to track where all that money goes, I mean, that requires an army of people. And the only people who have that army are the media. And the media are not on our side.
You know, Dan, I want to ask you a question real quick before I run out of time about the media, and I'd like you to elaborate, and I'm sure you're very well versed on it, the Hillary Clinton campaign and how they have been very clandestine, very sheltering of any information, and also a reporter by the name of David Martosko has been basically thrown out of the reporters pool because he wouldn't conform to what the Clinton people wanted him to write about. Talk about how insidious.
We let him in no matter what. He used to be editor of Daily Caller. He was, the way the pool reports work for people who don't do journalism is the print media outlets cover something on a rotating basis, and because they don't all have the resources of the New York Times or Washington Post. And he showed up, and they wouldn't let him in. And I mean, this is really, I mean, part and parcel to the Obama strategy about dealing with the media. If you go back to the Obama campaign when newspapers voted or endorsed McCain. Those reporters were kicked off the Obama campaign plan.
How serious is this, though, looking ahead, if Hillary becomes the president? We'd almost have kind of a Venezuelan-style dictatorship as far as control on the media, would we not?
Well, I mean, I think more than anything, she has a great deal of influence with the media because they will support the most liberal, viable candidate they can get, frankly, on both sides. The media are not in this for an even race. You can tell. Just look at how they covered the Bush trip to Europe versus Obama's trip to Europe. I think they covered Obama's trip to Europe back when he went before during his campaign. They covered it 13 times more. The media want to push their guide. And trust me, there isn't anybody conservative that the media consider to be their guide.
Absolutely. Media Research Center's Vice President of Business and Culture and a good friend of this program, always has been, always will. Dan Gaynor, God bless you, man. Thank you so much for being on the show this morning.
Thanks very much, Ted. Take care.
All right, take care. It doesn't sound real good, does it? The Tides Foundation, and we've talked about this in the past, $82.7 million to the liberal Tides organizations, and basically it's our money going to hurt us. You just got to shake your head and wonder how in the world this country has got to be in the shape it's in right now. It's unbelievable. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I better get a weather program on here. And we're going to talk a little bit about all the good folks over at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. They've got it all. Brat, salami, pastrami, jerky, sausage, everything. Oh, it's delicious. Everything they do is delicious, and they sell taste one bite at a time. Scarrows Meats over in Jerome, and right now here is Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is Deborah the Ranch. Nice weather all week. There you go. There's really not too much to talk about. Your weather theme for this week, it's going to be hot. 87 for the high today. You'll hit 91 tomorrow, and you'll pretty much stay in the upper 80s, low 90s all the way through Monday of next week. So, pretty simple forecast. It's still officially spring. We're getting summer, but as usual with the Magic Valley, and after living in the area for over 7 years, it's amazing how you start your seasons early than what they're supposed to. Where am I going with this? For the whole time that I lived there, it's been consistent for 7 years that your summer always started 2 weeks early before the actual date, which is June 21st. It's amazing, but you got a nice day, so do your chores so you can go play golf and go up the City of Rocks and go spend some time and go for a walk for a nice evening and beautiful sunset, all that good stuff. For the weather, it is the only weather you've got.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. And don't forget, Scarrows Meats has the experience you need to receive the highest quality cuts of meat. You be sure and get a hold of them today and check it out at 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number to call, 324-7657. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew at Scarrows Meats. Yep, they do. They sell taste one bite at a time. All right, I would really appreciate a call right now. And we'll talk about anything you want to talk about for the remainder of this hour. I would like to mention, and I'm sure that some people probably are going to say, when's Lunch Bunch? Well, again, I want to reiterate, it is this Thursday. It is this Thursday at Denny's Restaurant in Burley. Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and I can guarantee you that we've got a whole bunch of door prizes and gifts to give out for June Dairy Month, so don't miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun coming up at Denny's Restaurant this Thursday. And our special thanks go to some of the folks that have been with us to provide door prizes every month for a long, long time, and that's Smith's Food King, along with Walmart and Hanson Mortuary. And like I said, we've got a lot of really neat things to give out for June Dairy Month. So you be at Lunch Bunch at 11:30 this Thursday at Denny's Restaurant in Burley. A gentleman called, excuse me, earlier this morning in the first hour, and I think I have the story that he was referring to, thanks to my lovely bride. And it was out of the Idaho Mountain Express newspaper, and basically the headline said, "Shame could control guns better than new laws." And the gist of the story was pretty inflammable as far as making me mad like it did this other man. But shaming people against having or owning or carrying guns is the new way the liberal left wants to try to fight it. And I suggest you try to get this article. It was posted on June 10th in the Idaho Mountain Express newspaper. And they said it's just like they compared it to smoking and how they started shaming people that were smoking and or chewing tobacco. And the article basically said that's what we need to do today to get rid of guns and stop gun ownership is to shame the people. Well, let me tell whoever wrote this article, no, you will not shame me. No, you will not make me feel less by anything you do or say, because I am going to reserve the right to protect myself and my family, and you're not going to shame me out of owning and or carrying a weapon for my self-defense. That, in simple, plain terminology, ain't going to happen. All right, calls are welcome. Give me a jingle. And while I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I want to remind you about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with absolutely the best in tires. All the tires for your kinds and types of driving, whether it's long-range driving or right around the community, whether you need it for your car, your pickup, SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, whatever, they've got all the tires. And they've got on sale right now their best tire for your passenger car tires, and that's the Ultra Z900. Long tread life, smooth, quiet ride. It's on sale right now. You check it out. And I want to reiterate that they always give you the very best in brake service. They've been providing brake service to their customers for well over 30 years, and they know brakes, along with front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and, of course, the brake service and the best in batteries. All of this and more at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, of course, the Twist family in Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Excuse me. Right now, I'd like to remind everybody that tomorrow on the program, from 8 to 9, we're going to have an open forum, and we're going to be talking about quite a few different topics, hopefully to get you involved in the program with your calls. And then at 9:06 tomorrow morning, we're going to have Dave Bego from Indianapolis, Indiana. Dave's been kind of a fixture on this program, and he's going to be talking about various economic topics and also the unions and what's going on with them. And then at 9:30, we're going to highlight a person with the Idaho Cattle Association, one of their board of directors, and they're coming up on their 100-year convention and anniversary. And so we're going to be talking a lot about them over the next couple of weeks. The Idaho Cattle Association, busy, busy times. Here we are in June Dairy Month, and then the Idaho Cattle Association. We've got all kinds of things going on. And then at 10:06 tomorrow morning, the Idaho Fish and Game Report, and Kelton Hatch will be here in the studio. All of that's going to be on tomorrow morning's program, so don't miss it, okay? And a couple of quick reminders about what's going on in the community. Once again, a lady called during the news, and she wanted me to remind everybody that pianist Jim Hendricks, professor of music at Chicago State University, is going to be in concert at the Wilson Theater on Saturday, June 27th. Get your tickets now. Call Gary Shoresman at 436-3982. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I just wanted to call and thank you for the ice cream. I was one of the winners last week, and I appreciate the opportunity and the thankful. Just thank you for supporting Dairy Month like what you do. So,
well, that means a lot to me. That means an awful lot to me, sir, because thank you for doing that means much more to my wife and myself than an increase in wages, because we've worked with all these different associations. They've been so gracious to help us supply product, and many of the sponsors supply products, and that's very nice of you to call and say thank you, and that means a lot. God bless, and enjoy the last bit of your ice cream.
well, we was going to save it for you, but you didn't show up, so my son licked the bowl, and that was the end of it.
Well, by golly, I don't blame him at all, because I'm pretty selfish with my ice cream, too. God bless you, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Well, it looks like we're going to wrap it up and put it back in the box for today. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell. Thanks for listening, and we'll tune in tomorrow morning at 8:06. We'll start things off right here on KBAR, 1230 a.m., and then streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. And remember this, the way things were are the way things ought to be. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a great day.